Pleasant good day. Welcome to this special edition of Inside Politics. I'm your host, Andre Huey, right here on SK Newsline. We want to welcome our viewers watching us on the SK Newsline YouTube channel as well as the Facebook page. Today's program will be focusing exclusively on the leadership race of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. After some 30 years or so, the current leader and leader of opposition, the former Prime Minister, Dr. Denzil Douglas, has announced that he will not be seeking re-election as a party leader. And so that position, for the first time in over 30 years, will become vacant. And we will see a leadership race of three candidates: former Member of Parliament Convis Maynard, the chairman of the party, Dr. Terence Drew, and the current Member of Parliament for St. Christopher I, Dr. Jeffrey Hanley. To debate this, we're going to be having a very illustrious panel. Some of you would have seen the promotion online, and we want to welcome with us political pollster and analyst from Barbados, from the entity known as Cadres, Mr. Peter Wickham. He's joining us live from Europe. We have talk show host, social and political commentator, you could probably call him the voice of St. Kitts Nevis, Mr. Maurice E.K. Flanders, and we have political and social commentator, the man known as Big Lies to Many, Mr. Duncan Watley. Gentlemen, good morning. Welcome to this special program, and thank you for taking the invitation.
Good to be with you.
Yes. All right, Peter, we're going to start with you. We want you to sort of give us some insights into what you think about the race when it was first announced, the fact that Dr. Douglas, after almost more than 30 years, will not be seeking election as leader of the Labour Party.
Well, I mean, let's start the conversation here. I had the reasons for the extension I'm not clear on, but it seems pretty clear in my mind that he is somewhat reluctant to go, and that he is now saying, well, I will go, however, I will go in a situation where there will be a contest. And his position was that, look, the tradition of the Labour Party is that we do not contest the leadership. It's never happened before. And if he is going to be contested, then he is not running. And I mean, that's a reasonable position for him to take. As far as the global picture is concerned, I have been very supportive of Dr. Douglas's leadership in the past. I felt that Dr. Douglas made a huge impact as leader of the Labour Party over the years. He took that political organization to a fairly high level, and there's no question that his leadership has been outstanding. However, I think that he reached the point of diminishing returns. And it is clear to me, certainly based on the last election results, that Dr. Douglas has essentially been held in office by an overseas vote that was purchased. And I think that, basically his time has come and gone. And like so many other distinguished leaders in the Caribbean, he's doing himself a disservice by lingering this long. So if it has taken this much to push him, and he's now decided, okay, that's it, then that's good news for the Labour Party, because as much as a leader can be outstanding, I often think that leaders tarnish their own image by staying at the wicket too long. One of the more distinguished sons of the Caribbean cricketing soil is Sir Viv. He bowed out when he was still considered one of the greats. And I think that is sadly something that a lot of our leaders in the Caribbean don't do. They tarry in the vineyard long past their quote unquote sell by date. And I think that this is what we're seeing here.
Yeah, well, thanks for that, Peter. Well, EK, I want to get your views on that. I mean, when you heard the news, of course, we knew the leadership race was going to happen in November. That was announced long before. We knew that was going to happen. What we weren't sure of is whether Dr. Douglas was going to seek election. When I asked him that question in an interview I had with him in June, he basically said, we will see when the time comes. So it wasn't a clear indication that he was going to step away. But are you surprised when you heard the announcement that he wasn't going to seek election?
Well, good morning, gentlemen. I wouldn't say that I was surprised, but I was a little bit uneasy about the time frame in which it took place. Because like Peter said, we can all agree that Dr. Douglas is one, if not the most successful and accomplished and revered politician in the region. And we could sit here all morning and speak of, his accomplishments, where he moved the Labour Party to from where it was. And I think that it is a little too late. But however, it is here now, and so we must observe and take a close look at who will take over the leadership mantle of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. But in my personal assessment, and like Peter alluded to, we have a culture here in the Caribbean region where leaders are not willingly ready to relinquish their hold on leadership. And that sometimes comes to the detriment of their legacy. And Dr. Douglas's legacy is is a very great one. And the mere fact that he's lingering around is doing a disservice to himself and also to the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, because it was in limbo speak as to who will move forward. Because leading up to the 2015 elections, everybody would have known that I fought a long and hard battle, trying to shift the conversation from where the opposition was taking it with the propaganda and the allegations that they were making against Dr. Douglas and corruption and the whole 9 yards. And he personally did not do a good job of defending his name and defending his legacy and defending his decisions. And so a lot of what was being said by the then opposition stuck. And so the vast majority of the new voters, the young voters, bought into what was being said. And so that would have damaged him a bit. So for people who support the Labour Party, like myself and us, who wanted to put the legacy of Dr. Douglas out there in its real and true sense, we're having a bit of a quagmire doing that, because every time you try to speak or point out ills that were happening, they would always throw Dr. Douglas back into your face. He did this and he did that, and he was making it very difficult to defend the Labour Party in that sense. And so to me, I think even though his legacy is very tall and very illustrious, him sticking around, you could say, was an Achilles heel to the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party. He lost 2 elections back to back, and every time he lost worse than the time before. So even though he's loved and revered, it was still not resonating with the younger demographic of the voting public in St. Kitts and Nevis. And so while we welcome this announcement, I think it will be a little bit more difficult for the new leader, whoever that may be coming in, to hit the ground running and, get that momentum going. Because if you look at the state of politics right now in St. Kitts and Nevis, you could see that we're on the verge of having an election. So will the party be ready in time to contest that election? It's left to be seen.
Very, very interesting analysis, EK, because, and we're going to talk more about the legacy of Dr. Douglas a little later on in the show, because we want to focus our attentions on the 3 candidates who are contesting the leadership. But Duncan, I want to bring you in because you have been very vocal, were very vocal, and still is very vocal in the political process of the nation. You were one of those who campaigned heavily in your constituency for the Labour Party candidate then, at the time, and you made some statements which some people think sort of caused the Labour Party to not win the election or to lose in such a bad way, where you really pointed out that there are some people who probably wanted to support the Labour Party, but the fact that Dr. Douglas was still there was a hindrance. Your thoughts on the announcement in light of what you would have said in the past and your views, which I think you still hold those views.
Yes. Good morning, gentlemen and the listening public. Yes, when I heard the shushing and the talk, I welcome that talk. That is something that I believe should have happened many years ago, since the last election, just before the last election. And so it wasn't a surprise to me. Hence, you just reminded us of what I would have said. And I believe that the writing was on the wall long ago, that it was time for Dr. Douglas to step aside. Yes, I love the man, a revered politician, but I believe when it comes to politics, Dr. Wickham alluded to it,